we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time, people that knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country, they're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here too. You want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next job that we'll work on together.
Uh-oh. So you remember how that thing you just heard was once this right-wing fantasy restricted to the darkest corners of 4chan and Stormfront.org. Yeah, well, the President of the United States is now openly flying the kite for weaponizing basic access to citizenship in ways that most people would have until very recently thought of as horrendous and unprecedented. And the thing is, no matter how bad you think this picture looks, I'm just here to say, don't worry, it will probably get worse. And that's because, you see, first of all, it's not simply a Trump thing. The entire structure and edifice of the empire has been moving in one unmistakable direction for a long time now. In fact, right from the inception of the US empire roughly 200 years ago, citizenship, or the denial of citizenship, has always been weaponized. In fact, birthright citizenship, which is thought of nowadays as some sort of immutable legal fact in the US, only exists because of a constitutional amendment, the so-called 14th Amendment, which happened in response to something called the Dred Scott decision. So what happened was that an African man called Dred Scott, who was born into slavery in the southern US state of Missouri, was made to accompany his enslaver, a man called John Sanford, to the northern state of Illinois, which did not recognize slavery. Now, when he was there, he saw an opportunity and decided to sue John Sanford to get his freedom. And in response, the Supreme Court of the United States of America ruled that black people could never become US citizens and as such could never have rights such as the right to sue someone in a federal court. Only after a bitter civil war that happened the following decade was the 14th Amendment then created as a welded-on ad hoc solution to this problem. It is important to understand that the empire has never at any point had a simple, unified, fair, and reasonable process for obtaining or maintaining citizenship.
Sometimes people just ask me again to make sure they heard me correctly, like, wait, you're not a citizen even though you've lived here since you were 10 months old? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, well, you can just take a test and you can become a citizen. And I'm like, oh, that's not how it works.
It has always been the Hunger Games, held together by a few gentlemen's agreements, executive orders, and constitutional amendments. Which makes perfect sense if you think of the empire as a racist protection racket built on ethnic cleansing and settler colonialism. Secondly, and more importantly, the legal precedents, the physical infrastructure, and the logistical capacity required to enact the purge on imperial undesirables such as people with certain ancestry or people with certain skin colors already exists. Widespread nationwide raids. They've got private bounty hunters for that. The mega detention facilities needed to hold millions of people. Private prison corporations are all in, and the White House is tweeting jokes about detention camps in Florida. And the legal precedent, well, have you heard of the Chinese Exclusion Act? Yeah, it affected US citizens of Chinese descent too. Many of them legit got deported to China. And elsewhere in the imperial core, the case of Shemima Begum in the UK has created a legal precedent for stripping away the UK citizenship of someone who was born in the UK and has no other citizenship. So yeah, this is empire empiring, as it always does. And as the global multipolar order gets stronger and the empire's decline accelerates, the speed and intensity of these purges will only increase. So if you're in danger of getting caught up in a future episode of The Purge, that I'm not recommending a course of action for you to take, but you know, the more you know.